So what are markets? Markets, I have already told you, is a place where the buyer and seller meets, right? In normal terms, it is a place where buyers and sellers meet to exchange their, the sellers sell and the buyers buy it from there. Now, it need not be a specific regional place, the way we call a market in normal terms, right? Why not? OLX is also a market. The buyers and sellers are meeting there, right? But they are not meeting physically. It is on the phone, right? So markets need not be a specific regional place. Okay, is it clear to all of you?
Yes,
Children,
ma'am.
mute yourself. Market refers to the whole area where buyers and sellers of a commodity are in competition with each other to effect purchase and sale of the commodity. Now, what is the meaning of they are in competition with each other? Can anybody explain this to me? What is the meaning of they are in competition with each other?
Ma'am,
Yes, Arya.
ma'am, they're in competition refers to that the markets, like in a certain market, there will be certain companies. So of the producing the same product, so there will be a lot of competition because
Yes.
all companies want their sales production to go up.
Yes, the lot of competition in the market means for the similar, they can be similar types of commodities in the market, right? And lot of sellers in the market, lot of buyers in the market. Both of them want to maximize the sellers want to maximize their profit. The consumers want to maximize their satisfaction, right? That is why it is said that there is a competition among each other, and that competition allows effective sale and purchase of a commodity. Okay, now according to the definitions, there are four essential features of a market. First is area. I told you area need not be a specific particular geographic area. Okay, it can be via phone also or via internet also. Then buyers and sellers. If there is a market, there has to be a buyer, there has to be a seller who should be in contact with each other. Okay, commodity, market, each commodity should have a market, right? There cannot be there is a commodity and it does not have a market, then that a commodity will not exist only. Okay, so each commodity should have a market. And last is competition. There should be competition in the market, otherwise what will happen, different prices will be charged for the same commodity, right? To avoid that, competition is a must in the market. All four are clear, essential features of a market, right? All four are clear? Children, give me a thumbs up. Okay.
Yes.
Now we'll come to just okay. Children, screen sharing has stopped. Just wait a second. My screen. Just hold on a second, children. There is a problem. Okay, so according to this, the markets have been divided into four types. Okay, children, can you see the screen?
No, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am.
Just wait, what is happening?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay, just wait. There is a lot of connection problem here. Wait. Now can you see?
Ma'am, it's loading.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now according to the different types, different markets have different kinds of price mechanism, different kinds of supply mechanism, and demand mechanism. It has been classified into four types. Okay, perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. These are the four basic types, right? In these also there are variations, but you don't have to worry about that. These are the four basic types which you have to learn this year. Okay, perfect, monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. Okay, do not confuse them with their, because monopoly and monopolistic competition, a lot of people confuse, right? So we'll start with perfect competition. Now perfect competition is an ideal situation, right, wherein large number of buyers and sellers are there. They are so large that none of them individually can influence the price of a commodity. Okay, so there are very large number of buyers and sellers, and because they are so large, they cannot influence the price of a commodity. The price is given to them. Given to them means they cannot set the price. Depending on the demand and supply in the market, this price is fixed on its own. That is why it is said that in a perfect competition, price is given, or the buyers and sellers are price takers. Is it clear to you? Right? Very large
Ma'am,
number of, yes. Yes, Arya.
will you repeat there are large numbers of buyers and like after
Sell.
that I did not hear.
Very large number of buyers and sellers. That means
Okay.
that neither a single supplier can influence the price in the market, nor a single buyer can influence the price in the market. Okay. Uh, for example, an example is given in your book, Market for Wheat, right? The number of producers is also very large in Indian economy, and number of buyers is also very large in the Indian economy. So for wheat, neither can one seller, even if one seller tries to increase his price, right? What will other people do? They will go to that person who is giving it to them at a lower price. So a single seller cannot change the price. The same way, a single buyer out of millions of people that are there, they are the consumers of wheat. One individual buyer cannot increase or decrease, cannot say, no, I will not take at this price, I will take at a lower price. He cannot do it because price is given to them. So in a perfect competition, the price is given to them, or the sellers and buyers are known as price takers. Okay, both these points are clear to you,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Now price is given. There is one more point. Since the sellers and buyers both are price takers, the firms can sell as much as they want at the given price. Okay, there is no restriction in how much they want to sell. It is up to them. They can sell how much they want at the given price, right? And because there is no demand constraint for them. Okay, next is homogeneous product. Homogeneous products means all the products that are there in a perfect competition are similar to each other in quality, shape, size, design, packaging. Whatever way you see, these products are exactly similar to each other. That is the meaning of homogeneous products. So what will happen if they are exactly similar to each other? The buyers are not going to have any bias towards any product, right? Like for example, if we see the toothpaste market, we have so many brands of toothpaste, right? Whatever is said and done, we have a bias towards some particular toothpaste, right? So this is not a homogeneous product market. A homogeneous product market would mean there is nothing different, neither nor the brand name nor the packaging, nothing is different, they are all similar, right? So if they are similar, the sellers cannot change the price, because if I am selling something and I want to increase the price, the same exactly same identical thing is being sold by seller 2 also, right? So the consumers will go to seller 2, they will not buy from me if I want to increase the price. Okay, so I will not be able to change the price. This is why we have homogeneous products in perfect combination. Clear?
Ma'am, can you give
Yes.
an example for homogeneous products?
We do not have an example other than wheat. We can have all these
Yeah.
one variety of wheat, one variety of rice, right? They also have varieties. So you can take
Yes.
suppose basmati. that one variety of basmati will have a homogeneous market, right? But in that also, when they sell it to different companies, they package it in different. So this perfect competition actually is an ideal competition, which we do not find actually. We find a variation of it, which we will study ahead. Okay, a proper perfect competition is now not found in the market, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. The next is characteristics it free entry and exit of firms. This means this you must have learned in capitalism also. If you
Yes, ma'am.
remember in ninth standard, it is free entry and exit of all firms. That means
Yes.
there is no limit. If a producer incurs losses, he is free to leave the market. Okay, and if the producers are making more profit, then there is no limit to entry of other firms entering the market, right? So what happens in this kind of situation? I have written a line here: abnormal profits are driven to zero, right? Now what is the meaning of this? Can anybody explain, attempt to explain? Abnormal profits are driven to zero. Yes, Krishna? Simar, think you have done this capitalism,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Perfect competition is mostly like that only. Now what will happen? I told you it is a free entry and exit of firms. Yes, if firms are making abnormal profits, okay, if firms are making abnormal profits, they will attract more firms into the market. Other producers will also like to sell the same commodity because these firms are making abnormal profit. So now when there is entry of other firms, what will happen? The abnormal profits that the earlier producers were making will be now shared with the new ones. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now what happens? Their profit margin comes down and these people start having profit. So in the long run, what will happen? All of them are going to make the similar amount of profit, which are known as normal profits in economy. Okay. So all of them are going to make normal profit. We can take the reverse scenario. If producers are having a loss, what will happen? There is no limit, they cannot leave. So those who are having losses will leave the heavy losses will leave the market. Yes or no? So the number of sellers reduces in that case, and all of them then start making the same normal profit again. So in the long run, in a perfect competition, all the firms make normal profit because of this free entry and exit of firms. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, this is clear why they make in the and what is the meaning of this? Abnormal profits are driven to zero.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
do you mean by abnormal profits?
Abnormal profits are too much of profit. There is a limit. Since now you have not started learning the complete market as a whole, the demand and supply as a whole, there is a thing which is normal profit considered as this. When we are at the efficiency of the economy, that is all the resources are being efficiently used, at that time what profit you can accrue is normal profit. Okay, if you go beyond that, that is abnormal profit. Okay, normal profit means your consumers are satisfied, their wants are satisfied, maximum wants are satisfied, and your production is happening at efficiency. At that time what profit you accrue, that is your normal profit. Yes, Arya?
Ma'am, so is there anything known as abnormal losses?
Yes. If they have abnormal losses, they will leave. They'll start leaving the market. Yes. You have learned PP curve, production possibility
ma'am.
curve
Yes,
in
ma'am.
nice, right? That is your efficiency curve. It is the
Yes.
efficiency. If they are producing at the PP curve, wherever they are producing, it is the efficiency curve. That is maximum efficiency, maximum satisfaction to consumer. That time, what profit a seller has, that is known as normal profit. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
right. So free entry and exits. Then we have perfect knowledge. Now perfect knowledge means both the buyers and the sellers, they know everything about the market condition. There is nothing that a seller doesn't know, or there is nothing that a buyer does not know. Okay, so that means information is free and costless. And because information is free and everybody knows everything, none of the buyer can cheat the consumer and charge higher for his commodity, right? Because the seller knows, no, this is not the prevailing price, this is the prevailing price, so he will go to another one. So because of this perfect knowledge with both buyers and sellers, it leads to uniform cost. That means throughout the market it is one single price, right? So uniform cost and price of the product. For the factor also, one single price pay, those factors of production are available to the sellers, and there is one single price for the product. Okay, is it clear to all? Clear to all?
Ma'am.
Yes, want to
Ma'am,
ask something?
yes, ma'am. So in this type of market, like it is a very transparent market, like no one cheats no one.
Yes, it is a very transparent market.
Okay.
That is why we say people have perfect knowledge, both the buyers and the sellers. Both
Okay.
of them have perfect knowledge about everything, all the prevailing market conditions. Okay. Absence of artificial restriction. This is, there are no restrictions placed by any higher governing authority. That means there is no control of government in this. The free play of demand and supply is in play, and that only decides the price. Okay, the same way it is in the which market?
Capitalist.
Yes, in a capitalist market, it is a free play of demand and supply. There is no restriction neither on the seller to sell his products. There is no restriction on the buyer how much he wants to buy. Okay, and there are no measures taken by any authority. Right? These are clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, this is competition
No, just now I told you this is a hypothetical
exists
set.
right now
This type of perfect competition
in
does not.
market economy.
Okay, right. Then next is perfect mobility. Perfect mobility for both goods and factors of production. That means the goods can be sold in any market. The factors of production, that is your land, labor, capital and enterprise, they can move from any place to any place. So there is perfect mobility in the market, right? So if there is a perfect monopoly, there will be a perfect mobility, there will be no monopoly. What is the meaning of monopoly?
ma'am, monopoly is like a situation where there is only one seller of that and he controls the prices
Yes,
and everything.
monopoly means he has a control. So there will be no monopoly of any seller, that these factors of production are only mine. Since it is mobility in the entire market, there is perfect mobility. They can move from job to job. Okay. So this will mean there will be no other cost other than production cost. Tell me what other costs are there other than production costs?
Ma'am, taxes, then
Taxes are there,
depreciation,
depreciation,
cost.
transport, advertisement, to store a thing you have to pay. These all comes into your cost only. So in this type of market, because this we are taking as a hypothetical market, we are assuming that there is no other cost except what you pay for your factors of production, right? So there is no other cost of production other than these. Okay. Now, how is the demand curve for such a market, right? Demand curve for such a market is a perfectly elastic demand curve. How is a perfectly elastic demand curve?
It's like
Remember?
underpaid.
Yes, it's a horizontal line, right? That means at a given price, any amount of quantity can be sold. Yes or no? Remember the
Yes,
perfectly
ma'am.
elastic? Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
that means whatever the price, since we have already learned, these are known as the sellers and buyers are price takers. They do not determine the price, they do not influence the price. The price is given to them. Okay, so when the price is given to them, but at that price they can sell any amount or they can buy any amount. So it is going to be a perfectly elastic demand curve. That means it will be a horizontal demand curve. Okay, and have you learned these terms, marginal revenue, average revenue?
No, ma'am, but
No,
I think marginal revenue will be the total revenue
no,
because marginal
total
is.
revenue is different than marginal revenue. Right now, these conditions you will learn as it is, right? Because I am not going to show you how you derive it. I will explain it to you. But these conditions for a perfect competition, you are going to learn as it, right? I'll explain just now. Just first listen. The demand curve is a perfectly elastic demand curve. That means it's a horizontal line. This will mean that at the given price, they can sell any quantity without a fear of fall in price. So there is no increase in price, there is no fall in price here. Okay. Now MR equals to AR equals to price. This means marginal revenue is equal to average revenue, which is equal to price. Okay. Now normally when we study economics, when we study a market, we have a price, we have a demand curve, and we have a marginal revenue or an average revenue curve, right? I'll just explain to you what are these. What is revenue? What you get after sales? What you get after sales, that is revenue in simple terms. Okay, right? Now what is marginal revenue? Marginal revenue is what additional you get by selling 1 unit of a product. Okay, for example, the first unit I sell at 10 rupees. Okay, because our supply curve is a positive curve, the next unit that I am going to sell is will be at a higher price. For example, I sell that at 13 rupees. Okay, I increase the supply, when from 12 to 13 it goes. So how many additional units I have sold? How much additional do I get? 3 rupees.
Yes,
3
ma'am.
rupees for one quantity, I get 3 rupees as additional. So that is marginal revenue. You have learned marginal utility concept.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, this is the same as that only. For each additional price, what do you get? So this is 1 unit pay, I get 3 rupees extra. So my marginal revenue is that. Okay. Now imagine I have sold 10. Yes, Muskan.
Ma'am, I'm not understanding.
Okay, I'll explain average first. You know the concept of average, all of you? Average is,
Yes, ma'am.
what is average?
Average is like if there are 5 numbers, the total of that upon 5.
Yes, that is average. That average concept remains the same everywhere. Okay. So suppose imagine my schedule, my supply schedule is I give some quantity at 10 rupees, right? The next quantity after this, say 5 units of something I give at 10 rupees. Okay. But now if I have to give the sixth one, I will increase my price. I will give that at 13 rupees. Why do I do that?
Your like that is positive, the PP curve.
Yes, because we have a positive relationship between supply and price. And I have from my stock, I am only ready to give 10 at a price of, I only forgot what did I give. What did I give as a price? 10.
14.
5 units at 10 rupees. Okay, this is what I say, ki at 10 rupees, I will give only 5 rupees. Now, if I have to increase, I have to give one more unit, then I increase the price to 13 rupees. Okay, so between 10 and 13, what is the additional that I get? 3 rupees. 3 rupees, that is my marginal revenue. If now I have to take out my 7th unit also, I increase the price to 15. Okay, so from 13 to 15, how I gain 2 rupees, but from 10 to 15, how much do I gain? 5
3.
rupees. 5 rupees, 10 to 15 for my 7th unit. Okay, that is my marginal revenue. That is for each additional unit, what am I gaining? Understood? Now marginal revenue is clear. Okay, and your average revenue will be, first I have sold what, how much, at 10 rupees, then I have sold at 13 rupees, then I have sold at 15 rupees. Add all three and how many units are there, divide by that, gives you a average revenue. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Average and margin, 5 plus 6 6 and 7 units total I sold, so 7 by total units sold. Okay, is it clear to all of you now?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So this marginal revenue and average revenue, when you have given, your price is given for a perfect competition, this becomes your price. Okay, clear? That means in this case, your marginal revenue is equal to your average revenue, which in turn is equal to your price. You learn this condition. Okay. Okay. Now I will explain this condition also, why this is clear. We have a perfect elastic demand curve. Yes, perfect elasticity is there where we have price as given. Okay. So if I am selling 10 units at 100 rupees, 20 units also I will sell at 100 rupees only, because my price is given. I cannot increase the price or decrease the price, right? So my marginal revenue and average revenue becomes equal. There is no change. I am not getting anything additional. Average revenue also, if I sell 3 units, divided by 30 divided by 3 will be 10 only, right? And my price is also 10 only. This does not change. See, look at the curve. I'll just show you curve. This is your curve. Okay. At the given price P, you can sell M output also, you can sell N output also. When you increase your output from M to N, are you getting any additional money for it? You are not increasing the price. Are you increasing the price? So there is no change in your MR. Yes. And when you take out the average also, there will be no change in average. Average will come equal to MR only, because it's a straight line. It is not a increasing or a decreasing line. Try it with any type of price you take and any quantity you take. You take out the average revenue, it will come as MR only. That is why in this situation it is said price is equal to AR, which is equal to MR. All three are same. Is it understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Muskan, Simar, having question mark
Yes.
on the face.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood? Divyata,
Yes, ma'am.
Avni, Zara, Meet, Siddhant, Krishna, I can see. Is it
Yes,
clear
ma'am.
to all of you? So this condition
Yes,
you are going to learn for perfect competition, that the price is given and it is equal to MR, which is in turn is equal to AR. And your demand curve is a perfectly elastic demand curve. Right? Shall I start with the next? We have how much time left?
6 minutes.
We have 6 minutes. No, we can start with the next one. Okay.
3 minutes left.
3 minutes only left. Right, we will just start with the next. Next is monopolistic competition. Okay, first we have finished with perfect competition. I have told you, you just have to remember the conditions in these markets, and you have to remember how the price curve is going to be and how your demand curve is going to be in that. Nothing else you have to remember. Okay, so we have learned in perfect competition, we have in the long run normal profits. The price is given, there can give no influence on the price, and this price in turn is equal to MR, which is equal to AR. That is your marginal revenue and average revenue. Okay, just wait, I'll share. I'll start with monopolistic competition also. Okay, now monopolistic competition, this term was coined by Chamberlain. Okay, now why is this known as monopolistic competition? Is it is a market situations where you have a large number of buyers and sellers, but it is not like a competition. They are not homogeneous products. Okay. Children, can you see?
No, ma'am.
Just
Ma'am,
wait.
there is no screen on.
There's no screen only. Just wait a second. Why there is no screen? Now can you see?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, right? Acha, we have not done monopoly. Wait, we'll first do monopoly, then we'll do monopolistic, because it's a mixture of both. So let's start with monopoly first, right? As the word suggests, monopoly means there is only one seller in the market, right? Mono means one. So monopoly means there is only one seller in the market. Okay. So mono means single and poly is seller. So there is only one single seller. If there is only one single seller for a commodity, there is no choice given to consumers, right? And this kind of market, I have given an example of Indian Railways, right? Do you have any other player in Indian Railways? There is only one. Indian Railways is only one, right? They are divided into zones. But Indian Railways is only one single seller. Is there any other for railways? No, there are no private railways. Like for if you see bus transport, there are private bus transporters also. Yes? Yes or no? But for it, yes, Arya.
Ma'am, actually, now there is a private railway.
Where?
Ma'am, it's like this private railway, like a touristy thing in Karnataka.
That's just some parts of Karnataka, and that tourism railway is also Indian government only. It is not private,
Oh,
right? So Indian railways as such, when you see the railway system, there is no other railway in place. There's only Indian railways. So whatever price they give to you, you have to accept that price. Can you say no, we are not going to, so we are not going to travel? No, you can